sometime in the last several months. We had this little 16 by 24 garage built, and the guy that built it was like, hey, I'm just gonna order this material however it comes the cheapest. And I was like, well, that sounds great. So like, it's one of those things where if they don't have to bust a bundle of boards, you get like $1 off a board or whatever. So that's how you wind up with a stack of like 12 or, oh shoot, that's more than that, I don't know, 2x6s. That's how you wind up with a stack of extra 2x6s. And then we've just got my smoking hot wife's high school volleyball picture, keeping them safe because the alma mater decided to take all the big pictures down and put little plaques up. My wife's like, hey, I'll take that picture. I was like, yeah, you will. So I'm gonna grab a couple of these and take them to the garage that has electrical outlets and miter saw some stuff up. They're 2x6 by 12s. I would prefer to work with 2x8s, but like I said earlier, I've already got these paid for and laying around, and this one's even got a little character in it because it was apparently nailed to something. But anyway, so my wife sends me a picture of a new like entertainment center that she wants me to build. And so I'm going to kind of use that as a guide. It's not going to be exactly like that because I don't do things exact. But my plans are to have these 3 wide and have it 16 inches deep or wide, or however you want to call that. About 5 feet long and about 40 inches tall. That's just what the compromise is going to be because that's what the wife said she wanted. So somewhere in that neighborhood, that's what I'm going for. I'm going to see what these boards will let me get out of them. All right, so I got everything kind of laid out on this first board, and you could just cut 2 5-foot sections out of this and then have a 2-foot section that you can't really do anything with. Instead, what I did is I pulled from that end, measured 5 feet, and then I started on this end and I come up 40 inches here and 40 inches here. So I'm going to get 1 top piece and then 2 legs from each one of these boards instead of having waste. I'm cutting these 40 inches. They're going to wind up being 38, but that's going to let me cut it and then square up both ends in case they're not square from the factory or something screws up. Just gives me a little bit of wiggle room there. But that's a little tip. And like I said, instead of throwing away a 2-foot piece of wood, I'm going to wind up with like 6 inches of this that I can probably use as like a gusset or something in the corner anyway, but I don't have so much waste that way. It just helps your boards go a little bit further if you kind of plan out what you're going to do with them. Middle section of this, we're just going to do a 2-board shelf, so it's going to be 3 boards wide on the top and bottom, and I'm going to kind of have a little, I don't even know why I'm doing this, but yeah, we're having it inset a little bit. Because of that, and because it's going to be inside the legs, you're going to want to take off for the width of your boards here. They're 1.5 inches. So you're taking off 3 inches. So I've got 4 foot, 9 inches. Is that 57 inches? Does that sound right? Sure, that's math. I did that on 1 board for both cuts, and then that left me with a piece that's like 31 inches long in the middle that I'm going to use probably as some bracing and stuff. And then I did wind up having to cut 2 5-footers out of a board for the bottom. And I've got that, and I've got all of that board left as kind of like bracy kind of stuff. And then I had started to mark this bottom one, but it's got a really bad bow on that end, so I'm going to use it. I don't even know if y'all could see that one. Yeah, this one over here. It's got a really bad bow on the other end, so I'll have plenty of stuff there for gussets and braces and shelf brackety kind of stuff. At any rate, it's going to be pretty boring to watch me saw this up, so I'm just going to take it over to the miter saw, and then you'll see a stack of different size pieces of wood here shortly. So it worked out really good that I could get 2 legs and 1 top piece out of each board because I need twice as many legs as I did top boards. And then, like I said, I've got those 2 shelves here, 3 for the bottom pieces, and then a whole bunch of extra stuff for braces and stuff. Next step's probably going to be just sanding all these edges down, and then I probably need to pick up some screws and stuff. So the next chance I get to work on this, we should be looking more like a a creatively screwed together pile of 2x6s instead of just a pile of 2x6s. I thought about this for a good bit today, and what I could have done, because I have a miter saw on the legs and the tops and the bottoms, I could have mitered this on a 45 to where they would meet and make like a nice pretty joint. But first of all, that's going to be more work that I just don't want to do. Had I cut them to begin with like that, it might have been something. Another thing is, if you cut that on a 45 and miter it, you're going to need to pre-drill your holes here. You'll probably wind up splitting this. Whereas I think if I'm just going to do like a butt joint or whatever that's called, because I'm big into joinery, I can probably get away without doing pilot holes. So, would it look better mitered? Probably. Would it take more effort? Absolutely. Is it going to be any stronger? Probably not. And at the end of the day, you know, I really want this to look like I made it, so I don't need to get too professional here. For the most part, I'm probably going to be using these 2.5-inch decking screws because this Torx bit is pretty fantastic when it comes to fasteners. I don't know, as far as screws go, if there's a better one as far as not stripping out and stuff. I really, really like these. And 2.5 inches, because that's 1.5 inches, and so that times 2 is 3, and math and stuff, it gives you enough bite without going all the way through, or a risk of that. So, I'll start getting these tops and legs screwed together, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to join those together. Took some of those scrap pieces and I just cut 45s on them and then squared them up. They're going to wind up going up in these upper corners here, and then to kind of get all these together, I've cut some more of my scrap 13.5 inches long, because it's 16.5 inches across all 3 boards, and then that'll give me enough room for these to come out flush on those corners. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, I'll get this screwed in and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We are looking at the bottom side of this thing now, and I've got these corners attached here, just a screw on either side, and then this is in here loose. I'm going to put this and attach it just to the center board first, and then I'm going to come in the front of these corners and put screws in and kind of try and squeeze everything in there, and then I'll close this gap as I go. Like I'll put another one of these where I put the middle shelf and then one on the bottom, except that this is the top. So these legs, that's what I meant. Going this direction, I'll squeeze them in this way, and then I'll probably just run another one of these somewhere along the middle of these to tie all that in together. Other end, as you can see, there's a little bit more of a gap there that I can kind of hold together and screw at the same time. I've already got this board screwed into this middle piece, and on this back side I've got that gap tight. What I've got here is a ratchet strap. I'm just going to use to hold these together while I put this screw in that I've got started. And I've got just a sacrificial piece of scrap right here, so when I'm tightening down, I'm not marring up the top of this one. Push these together and pull the slack in, and then use that ratchet strap. Hopefully. That's the plan anyway. Go ahead and tighten this one up and see what she does. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit these two on the bottom side to hold that up before I break that loose, just so all that stress isn't on one screw there. But other than that, this sealed up pretty good, and now I'll hit the shelves next. And now I've got my legs joined together here, and on the other side of the brace, just like this, I let this be 20 inches from the top, and that'll give me a shelf here of about 18.5 inches deep from the top, and that's what I was going for. I'm just going to slide these boards in that I cut for my shelf, and then screw them in. You will probably have to go in at an angle kind of like that, because they will be like exactly cut to length. And then you'll just kind of press them, bump them down into place. And then we'll flush them up on the ends and put a screw in that, and that should be rock solid. On this bottom section here, I've cut these boards the same length as I have the shelf here, because they are going to fit inside this. And instead of letting it go all the way to the ground, I've got a little piece of flat bar here that's probably 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's going to keep it up off the ground when I attach it to the sides. And then that way the legs here will be what's in contact with the floor, instead of potentially having that bow across the bottom of this and the whole table wanting to wobble. Give me just a little bit of buffer so that maybe that doesn't happen.